Habakkuk 2:1. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower and will watch to see what he will say unto me and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Call halal Yahweh by Shalom Shai, by Hashem Wakahak Wadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers that are doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth among the heathen nations that look like those heathen nations. And to the Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. Right, and this won't be a long one, but I watched this video. You know, the sun is coming up, daybreak is coming, but I watched this, about an hour ago, got me through my workout. And it was some pretty interesting information that came out. So I'm just gonna play literally about 2 or 3 minutes of this video and then give some scriptures, and on to the next one. All right. So without any further ado, the name of this is the BRICS countries on the brink of a financial revolution, TPTS, and this is by Rethink the Dollar. All right, this brother here out of Detroit, who when it comes to spiritually, he's been given sound advice, and he's still trying to seek it his own way. All right, he's worried about what the masses think, about what other people think. I would suggest that you watch the video. It's highly informative. But here we go.
And so I encourage you, if you are on Telegram, to make sure you connect so you'll stay plugged in throughout the day if you're interested. And that's a good way to make sure you never miss anything, but also connect with your favorite content creators out there. And usually a variety of people do a good job of keeping up to date on the latest, what's happening. Matrix Snake is, I need the doom and gloom. The Matrix Snake is alluring. I hear you, man. And so,
hey, that's the time we're in. All right, the doom and gloom. It's going to be no peace. For when they say peace and safety, there should be no peace. And we're in World War III. World War III has begun. All right, NATO is fighting Russia via proxy war. Now, it's not even a proxy war anymore. They're actually fighting with Russia. All right, so it's just going to lead to to more things. And American Israelis just did a joint or about to do a joint military mission, supposedly the largest ever, as a show of force toward Iran. All right, but that's gonna bring, and I probably will bring out that scripture, Revelations. I mean, not Revelation, but Sirach, the 16th chapter. All right, when the dragons of Arabia wake up, because they're gonna wake up a sleeping giant over there, and not to mention that giant has support. All right, Russia and China and the BRICS nations are growing exponentially daily because everybody's tired of good old Uncle Sam. You see in the left corner there on the bottom, and constantly getting bent over by Uncle Sam and not being pleased. All right. But what was it? You know what? The Lord will bring it back. So let's let them talk.
So let's just dive into some headlines. I'm just going to go through the headlines just because there's some things that caught my attention. But these are some articles over the last 3 or 4 days or so that I didn't see many content creators really.
Here it is. It came back. Habakkuk 2. I was already there. Habakkuk 2:6, and it says, "Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increases that which is not his? How long? To him that ladeth himself with thick clay." So America is covered in debt, and everybody that lies in bed with them gets covered in that same debt and the same diseased when you lay down with the whore, which is Babylon. Why? Because she's laying with everyone. All right. So you lay down with her thinking that, it's going to be all good and gravy. And then you're in pain when you go to the bathroom a couple days later or something like that. And the countries, quite frankly, they're tired of it. Nobody wants to deal with them anymore. All right. And like it says here, Russia wants to trade with African countries in local currencies. Look, every time these sort of things happen, guess what? There's more homeless here in America. There's more business shutting down. There's more people that's more people that are losing their jobs as a result of those businesses shutting down, which means they can't pay their phone bill, they can't pay their car bill, they can't pay their rent, their mortgage, they can't pay their child support, which is illegal as hell, completely unconstitutional. Uh, and then they use that name, child support, to appeal to the sympathy and to appeal to the emotions of the masses, and they're not aware of the 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 ruthlessness and the crooked and the breaking of the laws that they use to enforce it. All right, and I only mention that because many other things within the United States is done the same way, enforced under the same methods, illegally, disguised as law when it's not law. That's exactly what child support and many other functions here in America are. They're fraud under the color of law, and the color of law is not law. So when you're doing something that appears to be law that isn't, it's actually illegal.
Really diving deep into them. But the sources come from RT, which happens to be Russian influence. So definitely they want to make a point with that and just basically let them know that they're not going to be bullied by the West anymore. But just take a overall.
Yeah, because the West loves to dominate the medias and the headlines so they can push their narrative and their ideals upon people. All right, they try to smother you with their way, and so when you try to mention another way or look at it another way, you're viewed as the rebel, or you're viewed as the problem, right? For pointing out the problem.
So fat. Brendan, you're
Goddamn
not
commercial.
fat.
Now,
It's a
wasn't no
shirt.
commercial when I watched it.
Look at Nate.
Yeah, that's what
Get
you
your
get. Slap the shit out of him. Think
Viewpoint
this.
of the theme of these next couple articles here, and I'll just real quick thumb through them. It says Russia wants to trade with African countries in local currencies. This is what Lavrov, basically Putin's right hand man, said. And so this came out over the weekend, I believe, or like Friday. But it says sides are reportedly developing cooperation strategies to replace the U.S. dollar and the euro in settlements. So I wouldn't be surprised one bit that that is probably a lot further along than what we're being told. But
Yeah, and it is a lot further along than what you're being told, and the dollar is clearly being replaced on the world stage. All right, and that's not a good thing for Americans. And America's behind on everything because they're all pushing for this digital system, but the other countries' digital systems are up and running. All right, China's is, and China is one of the main nemesis to America right now, and America's behind on everything. And China and Russia also are hoarding the gold. So the thing is, the difference is that their currency, though it is going to be digital, which is wicked as all hell, but at least it is backed by gold and silver. Well, the American dollar is backed by nothing, and I bet you your bottom dollar that these assholes in America that are pushing for this digital currency, the ones that have gold and collected up, they're not giving up their gold. Is they're gonna push this digital currency on you? You best believe that they've hoarded plenty of gold and silver into themselves. All right.
as to do with local currencies and ultimately the agenda is to replace the U.S. dollar and euros in settlement. So the clock is ticking. Next headline is South Africa says BRICS mulling new payment system to ditch the dollar. So this is Sputnik, another Eastern mainstream source. Make of it what you may. But South Africa, I did hear one of their spokesmen talk about wanting to, of course, incorporate and add more countries. So while we're in the West talking about our issues here domestically, those nations there in the bigger scheme of things, they're making big moves. So keep your eyes on the BRICS, just because I think what they're doing. Of course, we're going to look back and hit.
Yeah, and the BRICS, that's 5 countries there. That's Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. But there's a whole list of companies, of countries that have joined unto them. And Saudi Arabia is one of them, and that's really bad news because you got to remember the dollar was propped up by the Saudi Arabians' oil, and the Saudi Arabians are not dealing with the dollar anymore. They're dealing with the BRICS. So guess who the new world power is already? So this third world war is literally a fight for Babylon to stay in power, which they're not, because the Bible already prophesied that Babylon is going to get annihilated. And truth be said, none of these people, the Lord is going to come back and set up the righteous heavenly government on earth as it is in heaven. The house of David is going to be set up as the new world government under the authority of who the world ignorantly and falsely calls Jesus Christ. All right. With King David at the head of that and the rest of the prophets, which make up the 144,000. 12,000 men from each of the 12 tribes of Israel will be the house of David and the new governing body here on earth. All right. That's going to be the end result of World War III. You best believe that.
History books, and it's gonna be a different story. But the BRICS Club of emerging countries economies want to find a way of bypassing the dollar to create a fair payment system that would not be skewed together toward wealthier countries. Oh, and this is from South African foreign minister. So, yeah, but check the theme. Saudi Arabia says to open to settling trade in other currencies. This was during the Davos meeting. And so it says Saudi Arabia is open to discussions about trade and currencies other than the dollar. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people out here are rethinking the dollar. And so it's like when in the midst of all this, as it's becoming mainstream news here, it kind of makes the rethinking the dollar concept.
Hey, we've been talking about this since 2010. This, the Russian China, and the forming of the BRICS and all that. All right, we've been talking about this for a long time, and now the rest of the world's just not catching up. The prophets were on this way before the mainstream media, any of these other talking heads. All right. That's for sure. But and then it says China stocks up on Russian gold, and all this gold and stuff that's being collected is gathered up. This is being collected for the nation of Israel, for the house of David. All right. That's what all this is being collected for, just so you know.
Spot on. And so here's another one here. China stocks up on Russian gold, coming from the RT, but it just talks about here over the last couple of months here, the amount of tonnage leaving Russia and heading into China. So it lets us know that China and Russia working hand in hand, and they're selling fiat for something tangible. So yeah, very interesting. Another one here. BRICS exploring ideas to create fair payment system. I just talked about that from Africa, so I'll spare you guys that one. Here's another little story that was just mentioned earlier. This is from one of our YouTube content creators here.
Now let's pause right there. The speech that this Miss Diamond gave about the better question, to ask right now is, are Americans being poisoned? And all the sads, all of a sudden, in the last couple years, something had happened here in America and abroad and around the world. But, and then all of a sudden, all these people are dropping dead left and right. Is it just a coincidence that they all the people that are dropping dead and all the people that keep getting sick did the same thing? And the people that didn't do it are just fine. Things that make you go, All right. And all these things coupled together are going to bring on very, very dark times, because eventually America's cities and government buildings are going to be burning, just like in Peru. This is 2nd Ezra 16. And it reads, so I'm 16 and And I'm gonna start at 13, all right, because this Third World War is coming. And as this Third World War is building up, the wars within the countries between the citizens and the governments, that's going to activate as well. So this is 2nd Ezra 16:13, and it reads, "For strong is the right hand that bendeth the bow." All right, his arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss, when they shall begin to be shot into the ends of the world. So you think about the what arrow, all right, because it's a metaphor, is shot from one end of the earth to the other. All right, I don't care how swole you are. You the myth. What's his name? Sergio Live, Arnold Schwarzenegger, standing on the shores of America and standing on the shores of Austria. Or what was Sergio was from Cuba. So he's standing on the shores of Cuba, and he fires an arrow that lands on the shore where Arnold is. All right, Arnold fires his from Austria, and it lands on the shores where Sergio is. No, he's not talking about that type of arrow. This is talking about a fiery arrow that makes the elements melt around it. Hint, hint, wink, wink. All right. It says 14, "Behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth." All right, like that series, the Last of Us, which is on right now, because that's where you're headed. It says, "The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth." All nations, all governments, all hills and mountains hills and mountains represent government structures. Large governments and small governments are going to be put down and brought under subjection, all right, down to their foundations. "Like as an arrow is shot of a mighty archer, returneth not backwards, even so the plagues that shall be sent upon earth shall not return again." All right. Woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? All right. So Ezra saw the death and the war and the famine and the disease, and he got sick. He said, "Woe is me, who's going to deliver me in those days?" Proving reincarnation, because he saw that himself, that he was there. So yet this is yet another scripture that proves the regeneration. All right. Verse 18, it says, "The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come?" So with that, I'm going to give all praises, all honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash, Wa Abba Babal, Kwam Yasharala, Shalom.